engines around you. There's this constant humming noise in the background. And behind you can see servitors and tech priests tending to the intricate machinery, operating the various cranes that all need to be manually leveraged. Nothing here moves on its own, and this intricate work of servitors and tech priests operate every lever and button in this engineering room. As your ship finally is assembled with all of its parts, you look upon as the hangar doors open and a huge, massive, tank-like truck rolls out of the door and thuds down on a catwalk. The weight of it is bending the metal on the girders. And as it rolls down, you can see some of the tech priests look hopelessly in your direction and back at the truck, this monstrosity that you have created. It slowly rolls forward, and the back door hinges open. An auto cannon slides out, and the truck is manned by one of the tech priests, who begins driving it to the hangar bay doors. As Hector looks at the tech priests and gives a hand gesture, he just looks down at the ground and looks at you. I think we're done here. And with that, all of you can take your turns whenever you want to introduce your characters.
Giving an affirmative nod, Zach tightens his last belts and checks the backpack he carries as the shells are rattle inside. He also can be seen sporting a satisfying smile. Wearing a navy blue uniform of the Imperial Navy, as well as carapace armor, which shields him from any harm that would befall him at the hands of the heretic or of the ignorant, and all manners of other monstrosities that are commonplace in this field of work. He is far better kept than previously seen, as he is cleanly shaved and his hair has been palmated. His jet black eyes only being as deep as the coloration of his 9 o'clock shadow. That still, no matter how deep he would use his razor, still remains. And I think that's it for me.
Mordo, an eerie figure draped in crimson robes stands out against the surroundings. He appears in his early 30s. He sports a slight beard on his chin. He appears blind, his eyes devoid of color, yet he moves with a confidence that belies any visual impairment, never faltering in his step. Much of his face is obscured by a hood and a metallic mask that conceals his appearance. His his skin, pale as moonlight, contrasts sharply with the vibrant hue of his garment. A red medallion, intricately designed lies hidden within the folds of his robes, occasionally catching the light. At his hip, a ceremonial blade hangs, suggesting a purpose more symbolic than practical. Curiously, Fly seems to be drawn to him, trailing in his wake as if finding a strange comfort in his presence. He stands back, allowing the large truck to plow forward as he studies it with a silent attention. That was me.
So this is why I had the policy of calling people out before they describe characters, because otherwise this happens. Ether Surge, Austin. Okay, Zach.
At the moment, my character is waiting at the portal for where my ship will be docking with the Inquisitorial ship, so he's not really in the room at the moment.
I'll go next then. Solomon stands full back straight, wearing a navy, like a dark blue coat with with a internal red trimming, with golden, I guess it's like lace, decoration. A fine cap on his head. It's very much modelled after a commissar, but all the symbols are replaced with the inquisitional eye. He's got a beard, short beard, trimmed but neat and maintained. He has a few scars across his face, a bit weathered. He has his force sword on his left hip, and his hotshot laser pistol on the other side.
Awesome. Hector will walk up to the doors and leave the hangar. The cargo elevator has some stairs next to it, and he just opens that door and takes the stairs down to the hangar doors. This particular hangar is a secluded part of the cruiser, used specifically to launch inquisitorial ships. Hector descends down the stairs, leaving you alone. You can hear the clacking of a cogitator above you.
All right, gentlemen. Has everybody made their final preparations?
I think we have.
Morden gives a nod.
Okay, well, most of the gear is already been moving or has been moved to our transit ship. We'll meet. All of us will go to the port side umbilical cord for transit.
Yeah.
As we basically march with heavy footsteps towards the bay, from time to time pushing aside a menial that would absent-mindedly fulfilling their duties.
As you push aside one of the menial workers, he looks up from behind his dirty brown hood. Pulling it back, you see his wrinkly old face as you sort of thump him into the wall, and it just bounces off the wall. This man must be like 70 or something. As he sees you, you see his gaunt eyes, drooping, dark, malnutrition, exhausted from work. He immediately just takes off his hat. I am sorry, my lord. Cowers in the corner.
He's met with the sharp eyes of a man with a purpose as he says, "Don't get in our way. as we march past him.
You arrive. You get an inspiration point. You arrive in the hangar. Your ship slowly gliding down, landing in front of you. It looks like a bog standard Arvis lander.
Curious thing. Is this what we're flying in?
Indeed. Yet I assume that our perception of it will greatly differ once we see what's inside.
Hmm.
I can't wait to see.
If you get a little closer, you can see some of the extra metal panels welded to the front of it. The seams are completely invisible to, without a close inspection, anyone would assume that this is a standard pattern lander. There are 2 attachments for a missile battery and a cannon. As the back door opens, you find yourselves all on a huge catwalk. You see that several of the other acolytes are gathered there.
Why not?
Jericho turns around. He's wearing his navy uniform and a hat. As you know, he's a senior official in the Ordosinos. He's standing by a holographic projector. He's got his hands folded, just standing there waiting.
I stand beside him and salute out of respect.
Howdy's.
This will be the last time I salute you for quite some time.
I wouldn't be so sure.
You think this is gonna be an easy in and out mission?
He gives a slight smirk, wipes some sweat off his eyebrow, and just looks down at his status light as the engine in front of him starts beaming. Yeah, nothing like an old flight in an Arvis lander. I used to do a lot of training runs in these ones. It's not a beauty, but it does the job.
And won't attract attention.
Oh, I concur.
Well, hopefully we ain't gonna see any fighting in the sky. But if we do, I'm pretty sure that this girl, as I hit with a fist one of the side panels with a resolute thud that echoes within the hull, can hold up a shot or 2.
Do we have any idea of how to approach the situation when we land? Do we have an initial goal, or are we simply to look around until we find something to engage with?
Ideally, we will make contact with the inquisitorial cell that is infiltrated within the arbitrators. After we gain all the necessary intelligence that they have to share, we shall decide our next course of action. And at the moment, we have no idea what awaits us, and our main objective is to get a lay of the land, know the theater, and then act accordingly.
Sounds like a plan.
I concur.
Jericho takes off his spectacles, puts them on the pedestal in front of him. So, has any of you ever flown one of these things?
I've had some experience, but only routine dirty missions between ships and stations when umbilicals were too clogged.
Well, this is a military pattern. It's a bit heavier. Might be difficult to handle in a storm. Just, take it easy.
I expect you to be on the co-pilot seat, just in case.
He smirks again. You know, actually, I did a lot of training as a midshipman, around Juneau. I wouldn't mind taking her for a spin. But the Inquisitor has other plans for me.
Sitting this one out or working in parallel with us?
He just nods to himself. No. I'm back on field duty. I'm not gonna be flying with you, but I'll be close. Hey, if you're lucky with the landing, maybe you can see the Basilica of Valerius. It's the sector's tallest building. Home of the Ecclesiarchy. No one really knows, but there's rumors that that's where the Inquisitor received his training. Apparently you can see the spires from orbit. He walks over to the machine. I can't make this thing work.
I did
Where's the tech
request.
priest?
I did request to make some modifications to it, although I'm not sure if all of them have been implemented. Let's see if I know the rights necessary to conducting ignition. As I try to fiddle with the buttons a bit.
Screw the rights. There's a lever somewhere. I don't know. He leans down, opens a panel.
Oh, Ted Priest must love you, Jericho.
But as much as I love them. He looks over his shoulder to see some Acrocorpum busy with some of the other tech priests.
I'll leave it to you, Jericho. I'll check on my team.
Hey, you're not leaving yet. Someone's coming to give you a briefing. Just stick around.
Got it. I go check on Solomon.
Alright.
You see Zach approaching you. Solomon,
Yes.
as he eyes your holstered weapons, eyeing them and then looking at you. You've got anything quieter than that?
Currently, no.
Me too. Hopefully, as he changes a bit, as your uniform reminds him of someone, he has this familiar gaze about you that says, hopefully you're not a hothead. Not too eager to use that.
When I have to pull out that pistol, it usually means things have gone very wrong.
I'll hold you to that.
Is there anything else?
Nothing. Just checking on you to make sure you're still in peak efficiency. And, well, probing you a bit.
I hope I'll be an asset for the team, given this is our first time working together.
As they
with-
finish, as they wrap up their conversation, Mordo walks around the aircraft to the side that they're standing on. Well, it surely will be interesting working with you in a task that is not related to my own family. I was impressed by your actions in the jail. Expliciter. I was wondering, do you really think that we will find what we've been told we will find? Or do you think it's all tall tales?
Well, if you were to tell me 5 years ago that I'll be partaking in the most dangerous mission of hunting down and executing the conspiratorial cult of former inquisitorial agents that are so deep within the sector politics that they could even orchestrate the assassination of Caster Typh, then I'd call you a liar. There is just too much evidence afoot to deny their existence at this point, and while we may not be the best acolytes the Inquisitor has had, the main team still has a track record of completing even the most dangerous of missions, some even considering them impossible, but you are well aware of how we do things. And despite being outnumbered and outgunned, well, we're not rotting in a Medusali prison cell now, are we?
This is true. Let's see how long your track record will last. Either way, this is sure to be entertaining. I hope that you're happy to have me, as I am to be here.
Well, I do pray that you have other hobbies than partaking in suicide missions for entertainment.
Hardly. This is what I live for.
Zed just looks down and exhales with a half smile, as he's not sure whether to take you seriously or delve deeper, and his concern grows, then tries to dismiss the thought.
Alright, looks like we're ready. Everybody board. You'll see the tech priest slowly turning the manual shift on the truck. Gives a huge coughing sound as exhaust billows out the backside. The pot explodes a few times before the truck starts wincing in rusty pain. The tech priests surrounding you visibly cringe, putting their hands to their face, covering their ears or eyes, as the old lumbering wreck rolls into the lander. Jericho turns around at you, raises his eyebrows. Well, even if you tell someone you're an acolyte, no one's gonna believe you after they see that. That's the best cover I've ever seen.
I served the main team for quite some time, from what I understood. If anything, it will outlive both me and you.
Yeah.
It looks like its machine spirit is quite corrupt. I'm not even
Well,
sure.
Well, we had an acolyte who almost worshipped the thing. He used to pray every single day, fill the truck with incense, rub holy oil on it. I don't know if it made a difference, but it has survived the most damning situations I could think of. I don't really know how. Just
Mordo walks up to the thing. But where's this Inquisitor now? Did the thing eat him? He knocks on the metal of the vehicle.
Mouth half open. He'll just nod. That's classified.
I'll make my own assumptions then.
Feel free. Jericho presses a button. Walks up the ramp. Thought I was gonna leave you behind? Come on.
Mordo will walk on board.
Yeah. Forward we go.
As you enter the extremely cramped ship, it has been expanded to have space for a car, but the bridge is a pretty standard Arvislander bridge. You walk in and smell the metal and oil.
No matter how much xenotech and archaeotech you shove into them, they still have a familiar feeling.
Let's just hope it will survive.
Let's start by landing the thing, shall we?
Right. Jericho, didn't you say that we're about to be debriefed? Are we gonna be debriefed on location as
Not
we
yet.
transit, or?
Who's flying?
He looks to the left and right to see any volunteers, and due to a lack of, as probably some people are eyeing the Imperial Navy, I cannot refuse his uniform. With a sigh, he accepts his role and puts himself in one of the pilot seats. I guess I am. Try not to crash it on its first maiden voyage.
You would only be doing us a service. You hear from Somakri as he hesitantly sits down on the old bench with the squeaky sound.
Don't tempt me.
Old pile of rubbish.
As he dials some buttons, the lumen capacitors give blessed motive force to all of the machine spirits that display runes of the ship's status. With a holographic display showing a 3D stroke around the ship from its sensors light up in front of Zach as he proceeds to ignite the holy promethium within the ship's hearts with what seems to be not a lever, but a mechanism similar to that of a chainsword. As he pulls on it and the ship shakes. He pulls a second time and the ship shakes more furiously. And with a third pull, the ship with a sudden roar, blessed promethium ignites as its turbine engines proceed to spin and quickly are covered for void flight.
Inspiration points. You begin to hear a slight alarm going off as several lights begin to blink on the dashboard. And Jericho gets up from his chair. What have you done now? Let's see. He leans over the dashboard. We're too heavy. Damn it. this wouldn't work. Hold on.
Is it?
He tries operating it. Simacrocorpum rushes up to the dashboard, opens it and begins fiddling. It's too heavy.
Well, now both that Jericho and Newsom actually have confirmed this. I can concur as I turn to the rest of the team. It has come to the attention we're too heavy.
Perhaps I will stay behind. My mechadendrites are quite weighty.
Zed just looks at some actually. with just a long look off. And he vocalizes. For certain, you jest that such a diminutive weight difference would trigger the sensors.
The light, the beaming red light from his eyes start to dim as he folds down into his robe. It was worth a try. He leans down, pushes a few buttons, and the alarm stops. The capacitor was off. It should work now.
The same procedures follow as Zach makes a mental note to check whether or not this was just one of the first flight checks and not a desperate attempt by a mechanical satellite to mayhaps extend his or increase his survival chances in the service of the Emperor's most holy Inquisition. As he will attempt the same procedure again.
You all feel this suction feeling in your gut as the ship immediately, with twice the intensity, lifts from the ground about 10 feet. It begins hovering and shaking. Several of the wires go loose and start slinging into the windows. You can see droplets from condensation start to drip down the window screens. Flickering lumen from the hangar begins dancing through the halls of the ship. Those of you sitting in the back will see Somacri and Hector instinctively put on their belts and strap in.
So we'll follow after them quickly. Put his seatbelt on. Harness, whatever it is.
Indeed. The ship shakes violently, and you all hear this deep buzzing sound, which is both reassuring as well as terrifying. Some of the ship's machinery is obviously ancient, repurposed again and again, modified by the tech priests, but all of it is humming in perfect harmony. Samacria looks around at the flickering lumen above him. As you begin gliding out the hangar.
With slight jerks in the beginning to compensate from the unaligned thrusters, the machine suddenly pounds itself as Zep says under his breath, "Easy there, easy." As sweat begins to form around his brow as the machine finally is under control and becomes sanguine.
I look forward to working with you, Zach. Jericho pats your shoulder.
Pleasure's all ours, ain't it, boys?
You're handling it well. Just be careful. It's not as nimble as a ship that isn't mounted by... I don't know what that thing is. A truck.
Try to keep that in mind.
Yeah. If you take a sharp turn, the ship might turn over and we'll be 2 acolytes short. He looks over his shoulder. Hector gives a wide smile to him, and he smiles back. Gives a tip of his hat.
Right. No pressure.
As you glide out of the doors, the darkness of space surrounds you. You see a HUD appearing in front of you. Jericho leans over and taps it a few times. There's the Rogue Trader ship. About 45 degrees. Down, slowly. You can see the lights down there.
Pressing 45 degrees,
Mordo turns on the computer in front of him, turning to the surveillance system, cameras, anything that could give him a image of what's around him, and he'll try and keep out for any vehicles that might seem to be paying a special attention to them.
As you're in deep space, there are no vessels surrounding the Inquisitorial cruiser whatsoever.
He'll still keep an eye out, just in case.
You look at the grainy footage from the picked recordings, and in the corner of the room, you see a small jet black bike. It has a dome-like cover over the pilot's seat. It is sleek and shiny, and very thoroughly strapped up against the side of the wall.
Happy with the tech priest that prepared it. I'm looking forward to this one.
Awesome.
Systems.
You get an inspiration point. Awesome role playing. Alright. David?
Yes.
What's up?
Nothing.
Take it away, my man.
Right. As the ship glides through the void, following Jericho's instructions on which port and where to land. He is pinged by flight control of the Rogue Trader ship. Discussions incurred as final preparations and docking procedures are cleared as they make space for us. The ship, with ease and relative, not as much sweat pouring from that, Jericho sometimes tuning the course using his interface. The ship lands within the hangar, one of the empty hangar bays. The crew in the Rogue Trader ship must have been specifically instructed to clear it, and only the most essential and trusted personnel are to be allowed within, as per the Inquisition's specifications. After the motive,
as Tabby is getting into contact with flight control, you just see that they give the lighter directions for a somewhat scenic route so that we could overlay the ship. And I just come up near the cockpit and just look It's been a while since I've seen her. As gorgeous as she is, magnificent, yes. And as you can see, just a very massive light cruiser of the Dauntless class. She has a very somewhat skeletal frame, though she does have a thicker midsection, as it would appear that her starboard and port guns have been temporarily replaced with additional cargo compartments. But as even though she is a rogue trader ship, she's more utilitarian in aesthetic as opposed to how ships normally look, with copious amounts of statues and religious iconography, where she has a very dark, almost black blue coloring with various burned bronze highlights. And as you come in, you see that she only seems to have a single lance cannon, but considering how she seems to be almost a deadly but stealthy predator, she only really needs the one. Flight control. Grant us an hour's passage. I wish to observe the Grand Duchess's beauty before we land. Hey, Captain. Comes a very rough voice through the locks. I'll be saying, yeah. Do you need a couple squads to meet you at the cargo bay? Yes, I do believe so. Thank you. Aye, Captain. Follow the flag officer's directions to fly into the cargo bay. There's a harvest lighter bay in there, so you should be able to settle down quite nicely, yes. As I just walk back to the passenger compartment of the Arbus.
Right, I should have imagined you would pick the scenic route.
Inspiration.
And here I thought you were thinking about me getting in some practice. Surely this was your intent all along, right, Rogue Trader?
Well, to be fair, I believe the tech priest could simply land us in autopilot with a grander efficiency, but take it as you will.
You cannot see it as the pilot seat blocks his visage, but you can feel him eye roll. Right. Soon enough, after flying around the ship and for quite some time, we do reach the bay. As we're about to land, and the tech priest slave the ship to slave the machine spirits of the ship to their trajectory and input. I relinquish control and turn to the rogue trader, saying, "Trill, what are we to expect on board your vessel?" How does our esteemed rogue trader plan to host an inquisitorial party such as ours? It's not there. Nevertheless, as Zach speaks with the rogue trader, the ship eventually, our vessel eventually lands within the hangars. And there are crew, as specified before. As to decorum and the rest is very utilitarian, as specified.
Awesome.
As you land, you'll hear a familiar voice come over the Voxnet. And you'll recognize it as Franz. And he says, well, welcome aboard, gentlemen. Rogue Trader. I will be heading down. Zach, I have something to discuss. And he'll suddenly go.
Right.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yep.
Well, I was saying that we were going to basically get something to eat and then have a few hours to sleep before attending the hololith within the low stick leaf garden off the side of my own quarters for the debriefing. Briefing, I mean.
Such luxurious. I am surprised you are expending such resources for the Imperium's most faithful and talented.
Tis but a small price to pay for service in God Emperor's most glorious Imperium, yes.
Right. Well, as he turns to the rest, don't let such luxuries roll to your head. Usually we'll be spending most of our time in Spartan-style quarters. Nevertheless, with a sudden rattle, the final preparations are made as the ship madlocks. It says, all right, grab your gear. Let's follow the road trader for quarters. We'll also have to speak with Franz a bit, as he has already been on board with most of the equipment, exchange of goods from the Inquisitorial cruiser.
So Macrocorpum staggers through the doors, stands there confused, looking back and forth, and he slowly turns his head, removing the red hood. This is not a standard pattern vessel. Deeply heretical, unsanctioned.
I just look at you with the most deadpan stare ever. Say such insults about my beauty, and you will receive a plasma bolt through the head.
Jericho steps up.
Such a
and
magnificent
grabs your
duchess
shoulder.
was wrestled from a corpse
calm
of a
down.
space hub.
Throne agents, relax. We're here to see your ship. Just show us around. I'm sure Samacri can learn to love it. Can't you? Samacri puts his head hood back on. We're delighted to be on board your ship.
Myself just straightening my vestments. Of course. As you can see, this is the lighter bay where we receive various ships and passengers. And as you look around, it's what you expected was opulence, but surprisingly, most of the interior looks very utilitarian. Like there's not really a whole lot of what you would expect to be classical rogue trader extreme opulence.
Gilded halls.
Well, yeah, like there is a sense of decoration, but it's more like it's came after the utilitarian. So essentially, instead of like engravings for the sake of engravings, it's more like there's various molded murals along the walls, various images of battles, feasts, agreements between heads of state and tribes. Just very, in a sense, almost like
Trophies.
very a sort of simple elegance to the interior of the ship. You hear off to the side where a large cargo portal leads, the various sounds of men exerting themselves and small cracks of las weaponry. Nothing on the sense of lethal charge, but more lower pitch indicating non-lethal frequencies being shot at. And along the other side, you see something akin to imagine the corridors in Moria when the Balrog shows up, kind of that large, almost torch-like glow from some unseen space and sounds of machinery, machinations, thousands upon thousands of feet of naked feet slapping along the bulkhead floors, and just very like only a few of you, if you get a perception check roll, can hear very faint in the air. Like nothing obvious, but very, very faint. Like
We did not hear what we were hearing.
Yeah,
Very
yeah,
faint
yeah,
what?
unnerving.
yeah. You kind of cut out a bit.
Kind of a very unnerving
We can't hear that. But if you're playing something.
Well, we did fail our perception on
Yeah,
so
we're
we
just
kind of
holding our ears up like, what's
It
that
makes
sound?
sense.
I can't hear it.
I'm probably rolling.
yeah.
I don't know what that was supposed to be, but
Yes,
we did
and
not hear it.
as I slowly lead you towards a kind of one of the off corridor galleries, where food is being served to various crew members and officers of armsmen and security forces. I'm just kind of almost talking about, kind of in a sense of pride, like, yes. Unfortunately, she's taken quite a battering, as we rescued her from the scrapyards when she was wrestled from various space hulks traveling throughout the war. It took quite a bit of cost, but she has certainly returned such cost in profit, in exponential profits.
Yeah. Looks like you're treating your crew well. Anyway. Should be about a few days from Juno. So, guess we just sit back, relax, have a drink. What do you say, Franz?
With this, you'll see Franz coming through the door. He'll be in his usual military garb, but instantly you'll notice something different. His face is gaunt. He looks as though he's sweating up a storm. Ill, but not with a flush of illness. On his hip, he's wearing a sack, which you can see just going in under his coat, and you can see that it's an intravenous drip. And he'll actually look and say, unfortunately, I think I might have to forgo the drink. Slightly under the weather, as it were. Zach, if you have a moment of your time. And he'll take a wander off from the rest of the group.
Zach will follow Franz as he excuses himself from the group.
Whenever they're out of earshot, in a low, rather conspiratorial whisper, he'll actually say, Zach, I will not be taking a forefront in this mission. The Inquisitor believes that a different approach would be best. I will be coming along, but unfortunately will be taking more of a supporting role for this gentleman. I'm really not 100% sure what I am at liberty to actually tell you, but watch yourself.
Inspiration point.
I understand. However, I must ask you.
Also,
Go on.
yes, go ahead.
Uh,
I was just going to say, the gentleman, if it can be called that, is in holding cell 3.
I'll let you deal with your own worries. If you require assistance, feel free to ask any of us. However, I do wish to know whether or not you're sanguine and still combat capable. You don't look the best.
Just a little tired. This thing here is just saline, sugar, and some vitamins that I managed to rustle up. I will leave a couple of packs in case you get tired after speaking with the gentleman.
I'll try to make time, but if not, feel free to request my presence again. Also, get yourself together.
Full of our sleep, and I'll be right as rain.
No. As he rejoins, whether with friends or without friends at the party.
So Macrocorpum, as you walk through the corridors, turn to you, Thrill. Where is the onboard manufactorum?
I point back to down the corridor to the lighter bay that we just came from. The portal that no lasgun shots were coming from.
Will I have to pass by the civilian regiments? Your retinue. I don't trust them.
And I don't trust you, but we both serve the Inquisitor, so I suggest we're both out of luck in that regard. But if you feel you must inspect my troops, then you have my graceful permission to do so.
He begins walking down the corridor.
I remind
However, be careful of your Mechanicus, brethren. They are, shall we say, protective of their own personal secrets. I would not advise prying into their business.
As he's quite a distance away, he will activate his microbead, and you hear a loud voice in your ear. I will remind you that I am a Magos.
And I will remind you, I am a rogue traitor.
I tell Patriel, sponsoring some of Mars's greatest academical achievements are we, Rogue Trader.
Indeed. You could say that I recruited various veterans of certain drop troop regiments as I sought to form up one of my own in order to support the war effort of various guard expeditions. You could say that they have done me quite proud with what they have become.
And I'm certain that you also did not go hungry in your many donations to the Imperium's efforts.
But of course.
Perhaps I'll have to inspect these troops. See if your stories are true.
Let's not overstep.
And which stories would those be?
Well, you said they are quite accomplished. I'd rather like to see this.
Then you may head towards the cargo bay in which you heard the las rifle shots, for they are always training as often as possible. You have no idea how many bolds and space hulks we have procured extremely valuable treasure and resources from with how efficient they are in their boarding methods.
That is risky business.
Indeed, but high risk also equals high reward.
That is also true. I believe there's an old saying, he who dares wins.
I do believe the term is actually luck accompanies the bold.
So, Briel, where are we going? Jericho just stands there.
To the gallery, as I said. I'm sure the rest of you are quite famished after such an enduring mission.
He stands up from the wall. I'll be at the bridge.
Very well. I just kind of gesture towards a couple of the armsmen accompanying us. Escort him to the bridge. And you just see him give a nod of his head before looking at you to kind of follow him.
Jericho will give a polite bow to both of the guards. Very gentlemanlike, and will walk ahead of them as they disappear down the hallway.
You see everyone in the party sees a frown forming on Zach's saying, as he mutters under his breath, he humbles himself too much. Nevertheless, Lord Trader, should any of the acolytes overstep or misbehave, do bring it to either mine or Jericho's attention.
You have my thanks, good sir. I appreciate the offer.
Yeah. I believe you've promised us quite a feast.
In any other regard, onwards to the gallery.
Awesome.
And from there, I just lead you to the gallery where there's a few armsmen and crewmen in there, but also a familiar face from the other ship. Ah, McTanner! Glorious to see you again. I see you managed to find yourself aboard ship before even we managed to return. Hey, Captain. I didn't think you'd be here before I did. You, with your lovely cynical visits and all. Yes, quite so, quite so. I do tend to waste some time on those, don't we? Do you happen to have any barrels of sacra with you again? Ah, no, sir. Fortunately, I pawned them all off on the Inquisitor's ship. However, I may have a batch for you by the time we reach dinner. Ah, very good, sir, very good indeed. Make sure you let me know when you do, yes? Ah, yes, sir.
This McTanner fellow, does he follow you at every watering hole to serve you drinks?
Not always, but he does have his ways of traveling into places you would least expect it to see him at.
Very courageous man or very loyal? I wonder which one is it.
Indeed. Little of both. I have promised him a plot of land upon the very first colony I find within this sector. The poor man's world was burned to ashes within the Sabbath Crusade. He and a loyal band of followers from that very world have been granted sanctuary upon my vessel until I find such a holy world for them to build on.
I then say, Metafron, I say, you don't say. Mordo, from your experience, what do you give? How do you review this ship? I believe you've served on many a white vessel.
Over the next day or so, you just keep wandering around the ship after you get something to eat and rest within an unusual quarters room where it seems almost like a training slash recreation room, with how it's just crew members playing card games with one another, working on side hobbies, or improving their skills with breaking down their weapons. And you see along the wall various hanging, almost tapestries, although they're filled with holes, with very small, almost threadbare ends at the bottom of these tapestries. However, when you head to bed, you notice that they're not actually, in fact, tapestries, but rather hammocks, as they get hooked from one side of the room to the other in bulk, almost bunk beds, as it were. Like there's various sections of the tapestries laid out with rope by, I want to say, let's call it a queen-sized mattress netting between the various ropes, kind of sectioning off where each crew member go. And as you pass through the various halls, you keep seeing these murals everywhere you go. Just, it's almost as if the master of the ship allowed various remembrancers with skills in sculpting and stained glass creation just essentially go to town on the walls after he refurbished all the surfaces. So it's almost like walking into an ancient cave with all of the caveman drawings. But instead, if any of you have seen the game Rise of Rome, or Rise, whatever it is, it's a very aesthetic similarity to the way the sculpture and artistic design is, with kind of the time skips where it shows statuesque depictions of ancient battles and just kind of general history of the house. It almost seems like you're going back in time. As the further you get into the ship, the closer you kind of see events going from prosperity moving back to ruination. And then once you hit that ruination, it's almost like a golden age before that. So clearly there's a story being told here, but you can't quite discern what it is. Aside from that, it seems like there's a very cordial relationship between myself, my officers, and the armsmen. But at the same time, on a dime, it can change from being cordial to extremely intimate, where you see me participating in games of chance, competitions of physical skill, even with my bridge officers, my master of Vox, my helmsman, my master of arms, and various other officers. Just games of intellect and chance, where there's the occasional game of regicide being played between the two of us. And there is a corridor somewhere within the ship that every time you pass, you always get some sort of soul deep feeling that you just don't want to go down. Like you just feel this need to almost like speed walk past this corridor entrance and just not go down it. As throughout the ship, there's always going to be stories and superstitions amongst the crew that it's haunted, considering that the ship always seems to have a nose for getting into trouble and then getting the crew out of the trouble it finds. And it's time from inside the warp where sometimes you may see some sort of shapes within the shadows, almost like mists within the lower levels where the life support isn't as functional in the sense that it's not needed. So where there's dry ice mist, it's almost as if there are specters moving throughout the gloom that they form until at the very near the end of it of our journey, we are all gathered within a low stick leaf garden where it's the surfaces of the garden's room are gilded in burnt gold bronze with about the size of a, let's call it, 4-bedroom house's backyard, which think of it like it's big enough that I could have a lap pool. There's just rows of various leaves that are being tended to by servitors, by serfs, and it almost seems like there are different strains of this particular type of leaf that, as at least as far as you can tell, with how there are subtle physical and aromatic differences in how some have a more cinnamon spice to them, but others have a smoother, smoky flavor. And at the center of it is a hololith with a table next to it. And you kind of get the sense that my character spends a lot of time in here, as it's like, well, I might as well drag my work in with me if I'm going to be stuck in here all the time. And above the hololith table is a depiction of various documents and the world that we're traveling to, in addition with various diagrams of what factions and individuals associated with those factions are connected with one another, with a briefing slowly scrolling across the middle of the space, as it were, and we're all surrounding it.
Awesome descriptions. I'm gonna say about a day passes, and at some point you will hear Jericho on your microbeads calling you in for a briefing before you arrive on the planet. At your leisure, of course.
Before that, Zach does sit at a table where we play a game of chance on a Monster Souls, as he say. Lord Trader, I must admit that this is quite a well-kept ship.
My thanks. These past 2 decades, relative standard time, have been a very busy period of my life, and as my rogue trader's ship is his lifeline within his trade, I simply figured that you must ensure that she is well maintained and cared for she will take care of you if you do so with her.
I know exactly what you mean, as he taps a metallic box on the side of his backpack, which you are painfully aware it's his autocannon. As he says, however, things did attract my attention, and I must ask, if you'd allow me, how old is your family's warren? Or better yet, your dynasty?
We were, in fact, one of the oldest dynasties, with our warrant of trade being handed down by the Sigillite himself. We had an absolute golden age once the Horus Heresy ended, with us spreading across the galaxy to assist in the various worlds, reconnect with the Imperium proper. However, you could say that a few key individuals squandered such splendor. And once we were able to afford such void-faring vessels once more, my great grandfather, the High Lord of my house, decreed that only a single member of the family may hold the warrant. All others may only hold marks of trade and are at the command of that rogue traitor. And to ensure we have the best of the best, all children of the current warrant holder must compete with one another and show that they are the most deserving. Unfortunately, my siblings have been far more inefficiently cut through than I would suggest they should be. Most unfortunate, as my sister, let's simply say that she competed a little too hard with me and was cast off her mortal coil when she encountered a small band of orcs. Yes, most unfortunate.
Purely by chance, I assume.
Of course. Though you could say the beacon attracting her was suspiciously well placed in their path.
How
The Emperor
fortunate.
giveth, the Emperor taketh, I assume.
Indeed.
Yet I cannot tell
She was
myself.
always the worst of my. She was always the worst of my siblings at growing up.
Yet I cannot say I'm not surprised why you've attracted the attention of our Inquisitor. You have quite a knack for finding yourself into trouble and snooping around. And it's your workstation.
You see, like, a somewhat almost shadow pass over his eyes at the mention of attracting the attention of the Inquisitor before the glebe reasserts itself. Yes, well, rogue traitors are quite valuable assets for Inquisitors. A great deal of legally grey options open up once you entertain the services of such clientele.
Would you have met him a few years earlier? We might have been sitting together at a different table. Yet I do not deny that such men of your repute do possess quite the advantages in colluding with one another.
Yes, you would be surprised by just how many individuals thought they could assert dominance over me before understanding that my warrant affords me a degree of authority similar to Inquisitors. Oh, it's delicious watching their expressions when they discover this.
You'll find plenty of man-eaters who make their march, only to find out that they've bitten off more than they could chew.
Yes, I suppose so.
And still, we are here finding ourselves facing potentially impossible odds time and time again. I would say that your choice of servants is fascinating. Mortal leans forward.
Well, let us simply say that mutual agendas supporting one another serve as great negotiation tools.
Common agendas, you say? And what exactly kind of
Indeed.
agenda is it that you have in the current situation?
Well, serving the God Emperor, of course. And if I happen to financially benefit from serving the Emperor, well, that is simply a happy coincidence, is it not?
Right. Though I feel service to the God Emperor is at this point more lip service than anything else. Don't get me wrong. Bless his very presence. But I feel like your motivations are likely more financial than anything else.
You could say that. And I could say that your motivations are personal survival as you've been granted sanctuary. Though, must we quabble over such semantic agenda objectives and simply appreciate that we all serve within the God Emperor's most holy inquisition?
I
Indeed,
suppose not.
I do believe that working alongside people that have something to gain from an agreement is far more trustworthy than someone just acting out of pure piety. Has higher chances of misunderstanding amongst colleagues, I guess.
No, this I can agree with.
Well,
I
you,
agree too.
despite my pious expression, I am more a man of faith than piety, as once the God Emperor spoke, faith and reason are the shoes upon your feet. You can get further with both than you can with just one.
Indeed. And then, regards to your retinue, Solomon, did you take your time to inspect the road traders' mm, elites?
Not quite yet, but we still have a few days, I believe.
Tell me of your first impressions, if you may.
I'll make a detailed report.
Good. Although I must say that you should refrain from beckoning them once per planet side road trader.
Not to worry. I merely intend to take a few of my officers to begin making contact with particular individuals we have within our objectives to lay the groundwork for our operations. The rest of them will stay aboard the ship until we require their services.
It will all become clear to us how to move forward soon enough. As a watch unit either on the wall on our persons begins to beep to notify us of Jericho's intent to brief us.
Seems your briefing is ready.
Indeed.
Well
I think
then,
we should.
if I know Jericho, he will await us onto the bridge. Let's make way.
Let's just make way then.
Alright. You all walk to the bridge. What does the bridge look like? Thrill.
It's not so much similar to how the bridges are often described as very similar to Imperial Star Destroyer bridges, where you have the pits with raised walkways where the officers walk. It's more so think a series of catwalks lace throughout the bridge where sections are designated for navigation, for in-ship communication, and there's a singular raised platform above all of this where the primary officers of the ship, so the helmsman, the factorum, master of the Vox, reside at and are performing their own duties. And from here, there's a singular hololith table dominating the center of the space with... Honestly, it's kind of set more within the ship than a proper command bridge is, with a dome over the top, so there's a greater deal of protection. So the only thing that really shows what the external space is a set of 3 large monitors across where the windows would normally be.
Awesome. Jericho will be standing near some of the large windows. You can't yet see the planet, but you can see these speckled stars whenever you look out the windows. It is quite dark, and Symmetricorpum is standing in the corner of the room. He will walk up to Jericho, again deploying this holographic projector. As Jericho turns it on, you can see him walk up to one of the tech priests on the ship. They talk for a little while, and he points up. Jericho looks at you, Thrill. Your crew were kind enough to help me hook this up. Let's see if it works. And you will immediately hear a voice coming through the loudspeakers. It is distant and loud.
Yes. Am I audible?
We read you.
You hear some more static. Jericho looks up again.
As luck would have it, Totoro is very old and unable to keep us out of Juno. Although this is the center of the faceless trade in Askellon, and they have bribed a lot of the military, we also have the Imperial contacts and dead drops you can use as resources. High Marshal Wilhelm, the arbitrators, is trustworthy. The Vigil, as they are called. The Administratum is headed by the Regis Chancellery, under Lord High Controller Avak Numenor. Also very reliable and accurate. If necessary, we can rely on these to clean out the institutions in Juno. But first, no communication, no banners, no rosettes. Set up everything you need on Juno and remain anonymous. I will be in touch.
The light on the Voxcaster goes off. Jericho turns around. Well, I'm guessing none of you have been on Juno before.
This would be
Not.
my first visitation.
He just nods to himself a few times, swallows. Well, as you know, there are other crews on the planet already. He's gonna straighten his posture. The Inquisitor has appointed me to spearhead the operation and gain access to Juno's elite without arousing suspicion. He's going to point to the holographic projector. nonchalantly turns around and turns it on. A weak shimmering globe will begin slowly rotating against the windows. So, you've never flown here before, but the entire area here is guarded by the Askellon Grand Precinct. Maybe you've heard of the arbitrator High Marshal Wilhelm. No one leaves or enters without his approval. So, I got his approval. But, you're gonna remain anonymous. As I understand it, you've set up some kind of cover operation.
Yes. We have to infiltrate as bounty hunters and under the employ of the arbiters. This will allow us clear communications with the assets amongst the arbitrators without arousing suspicion.
The arbitrators? That's Lord Wilhelm himself. Have you talked to him?
No, we prefer direct contact, as I presume he will divulge sensitive information that we cannot leak through from leeches.
I think it's a good idea. But I would pull that until we've done some scouting and groundwork as civilians.
What do you suggest?
What do you suggest?
If we are to get a lay of the land, I suggest we either request an initial observation of the local surface and figure out what we're gonna set up. After which we can inquire the local populace regarding current events and whatever moves local gangs that most likely are under the employ of nobility have undertaken, and judge whether or not it warrants an approach better this way.
He'll point to Sumakri. You'll understand, and I'm sure you're all familiar with this. As soon as we arrive on the planet, if we have any kind of insignia, any name to ourselves, the enemy is going to start learning who we are, learning how we move, how we operate, our dead drops, our names, everything. There's not a secure room, not even in the Inquisition. Everything leaks. Just remember that. I like your suggestion, Zach. Go in, civilian clothing. Don't make contact with anyone. Get familiar with the planet. Where do you think we should begin, Zach? The city, somewhere remote. Should we drop you in drop pods, lander? What do you say?
Well, if probing, surface probing is what we're interested in, I suggest we enter the city. Not via drop pod, but via lander. This will attract minimum attention. The lander, due to being the capital world of the sector, it will be like a needle in a haystack, and due to the high number of populace, we can also hide amongst the hive dwellers without any issue, as long as we are minimally equipped. This will make us vulnerable, but as long as we avoid the more rough parts of the hive, we should fare well.
He nods to himself. Remember, as always, if one of you get captured, you know what to do. Don't say a word. It's better that you're dead. If you mess up, Just go out with honor. We'll remember you. Don't make contact with the criminals. They have ways of looking up your background. Believe it or not, some of you are pretty famous by now and recognizable in the Inquisition. Word travels quickly. He turns back to the projector. Solomon, Throne Agent.
Yes.
How do you plan to make contact with the civilian populace?
Oh. A civilian?
Gain the
So-
information you need.
Well, the easiest way to find information is where the lips are loosest. And lips are loosest when they're drunk. So, bars, liquor establishments, listening to conversations, rumors, gather information that way.
He nods to
Mordo.
himself.
Mordo takes
You're
a step
looking
forward.
for Visuna Regis, the main capital. Go. Mordo.
He takes a second to consider his response. I have another suggestion for how we can gather information. Getting the populace drunk is one thing, but we want information that passes in high circles, do we not?
Jericho will raise his hand. Tell you what. It's probably time I give you at least some insight into my side of this. This is where I'm gonna be operating. Out of his back pocket, he's gonna retrieve a small notebook. And he's going to just hold it out in the air and wait for someone to approach and grab it.
Mordo does.
As you grab it, he holds on to it for a second, slowly releases and looks you deep in the eyes. Don't drop it.
Mordo nods.
I'll be working with the High Marshal himself, Lord Wilhelm. As soon as we make contact with him, word spreads. I can't contain it. None of us can. They have a precinct in the center of the city. It's more of a fortress. I'll be staying there undercover. As soon as we need access to the nobles, we use your cover operation. The Iron Guard. He says questioningly.
The Iron Pact.
Right. The Iron Pact. We'll be hired by the Vigiles, the arbitrators, to investigate the nobles. That is our way in. As soon as we start our operation, there's no other way to do this. They're gonna start learning about us, studying us. Until then, we're anonymous. Do you have any questions?
Actually, I have a suggestion.
Go ahead.
The core of this entire operation relies on us gathering information. I was thinking of approaching one of the more nobler districts and seeking shelter, revealing my true identity as one of House Amadou Selling. I will live, I will eat, and I will socialize in the circles. And as time passes, I will use my own insight to study the minds of those around me. Any information that I find, I will leave at certain dead drops at certain times.
I cannot agree with this choice of action. We're well aware that House Medusali has been in contact with the governing world, and they will most likely recognize you on the spot. If not, it will engage the ticking time clock ahead of schedule.
It's better to allow them to think that they can use me for their own advantage, while I use them.
I don't think you understand. They're not the type to do such ploys. They like a more direct approach. You wouldn't be swayed with words. You'd be blackbagged immediately.
Mordo, you worked in the house, Ahmed. I'm sure you still feel some affinity for them. But I assure you, the people of Juno do not. You're gonna be studied. They are gonna look into your background like you wouldn't believe. You could do it, but I don't think it makes a difference. As soon as you do that, they start looking into who we are. They start learning.
Then Mr. Another background that I perhaps should approach them with.
No. We'll keep away from high society. We'll rely on Jericho to deal with them. For the moment.
I gotta remind you guys, the amount of resources the elite has on Juno. They control the other planets. Their astropathic choirs receive information instantly. They are obsessed with archiving information. Assume they know everything. We can only delay our arrival for so many days. Use those days to do everything you can to gain as much information as possible. And as soon as we start operating in the higher echelons, we pull out all the stops. Lord Wilhelm, the arbitrators, everything. We go after the nobles.
A full purge, then? If necessary?
No. No, they won't allow that. We still have to be tactful. The slower they learn about us, the better. We cannot operate as the Inquisition.
Mainly because the code we're searching for used to be part of our members.
Jericho nods. Unfortunately, people on Juno don't see kindly to the Inquisition. I'm sure you're familiar with the sentiment. But the rogue trader ship gives you alibi for having come from another system. The alibi is a couple of days. You arrive as civilians. What do you say? What do you say, Thrill? Armsmen, starship bosuns. Indentured servants.
If you dispatch the team prior to my ship's arrival, I can always send along a few officers of the Iron Pact with them to begin negotiations and politicking with the various nobles to establish contacts that we can use for further information before revealing our true colors. Once we're out of war, I'll have the helmsman here, as I gestured to the helmsman, move ahead at 1/20th of the speed to grant us a appropriate amount of time to set up preparations for the operation before my ship is detected by their sensors.
Perfect. The advantage of using your ship Solomon, Thriel, is we became acquainted around Askellon Prime. through a warp portal. No one on Juno knows you've been working with the Inquisition. At least not yet. But I think it's a foregone conclusion that after this operation, they'll know.
Perhaps they'll suspect, but they
will
not
know.
necessarily assume.
They will know. These people run Askellon. Thrill. They're in control of the records that govern your exploration. They will know. You can never operate as a Throne agent again. Or rather, as a rogue trader. Are you comfortable with that?
That is not one without ties to the Inquisition.
Jericho nods. This is it. This is what the Inquisitor demands of you three. Are you in?
You see him grab a bottle of Sacra from a side table, pours himself a generous helping within a glass, throws it back. For the God Emperor.
For the God Emperor. Jericho turns around and looks out the window. He looks at some of the crew, and by this time the crew is just turned around. Whatever servitors and tech priests you have there will not be able to hear you, but they are sensing the gravity of the situation. Good. This is your only shot. We have a few days, maybe weeks. No communication. None. Do not use your Vonk sailors. In fact, I would even turn them off. He looks at your equipment.
How will we know that it's time to act?
You'll know. Someone whispering. You see someone following you. They have eyes and ears in every sector of Juno. You'll know.
Right.
He draws a deep breath. Why did we even make it that far? I'll be waiting for you in the precinct. I like your idea, Zach. Slide into Juno, find an operation point, do what you have to do. When your operation needs higher access, when you need access to the nobles, contact me, and he'll motion for you to take notes.
As he does so, and he says, hopefully we won't get mixed booze soon.
He raises an eyebrow. Contact me in the Askellon Grand Precinct in Vesuna.
Should we have a code word?
Indeed. Send me all the locations of the dead drops and the code words before you depart. Then we, as he points to the dome, a location near the center of the city, or a planet called Vesuna Regis. When you arrive at the precinct, we set up an operation. With Wilhelm's blessing and mine, you'll have access to the entire planet. You'll have our protection, but the word will inevitably begin to spread. Is that understood?
Understood.
Okay. Give me your receipts. Your insignia. Everything. He reaches out a hand. Even you, sir.
Right. As he pulls it from one of the side pockets of his belt, as he looks at it longingly, saying, and they don't even get to hold it for too long, as he hands it over.
Awesome. Jericho will take it. He just slowly folds it. Obviously means a lot to him, and he puts it in his pocket. I won't lose it, Zach. I'll see you again.
Right.
Okay. You're stripped of all your resources and protection until we meet up. You'll have nothing. Only carry covert weapons in the city. The arbitrators there are called the Vigil. They don't mess around. They see a civilian with weapons. He just shakes his head slowly. And hey, maybe you can smuggle in some of that Obscura from Rund. The gangster are gonna love you. Whatever contraband you have, thrill, illegal goods, anything that can give you leverage, bring it. Only if you have the upper hand.
It would be good to see you, It would be good to see you, gentlemen, once I arrive.
Alright. I'll see you when they start the investigation. Until then, I don't know you.
And we don't know you.
He's going to
Who are you?
flash his rosette and put it back in his pocket. And Jericho is going to slowly walk to his chambers.
May the God Emperor be with you.
Turns around. Emperor protects. Hope to see you all again. You can hear chatter on the Voxcaster that he is on his way to the hangar. So Macri sits idly by. What about me? Was I supposed to leave with him?
Probably. Having a
You are quite unsubtle in your appearance.
I hope we don't meet again.
always the joyous fellow.
Feeling is mutual, you rust rat.
Quite the charming fellow, isn't he?
Smackery stumbles out the door with his mechadendrites slamming into the door as he hobbles after Jericho.
You think he's still mad that
You just
they
kind of
used-
see, you just kind of see me gesture at one of the armsmen and who walks over to me. Ensure you take an appropriate tribute from his belongings to make repairs to that frame. Just gives a nod of his head and just moves off with another pair of armsmen to liberate some of his possessions.
You think he's still mad that we forced him to remove his mechadendrites for our missing limbs?
Doesn't matter to me.
Oh, I do remember someone a long time ago asked him if he's sure what he's getting himself into once working with the Inquisition. Hopefully, he still hasn't regretted it. I would hate for him to lose his joyful disposition. Nevertheless, as we're about to infiltrate as civilians for the moment, what will our cover be? And apologies, Road Trader, for having to lower yourself to such a level.
Think nothing of it. You would be surprised to know the kind of individuals I've had to associate myself with to ensure my family's fortunes.
I've taken a peek from time to time with the tail of my eye, and I've blessed. Didn't recognize many names though. I just assumed.
Indeed.
No. I believe that it would suffice for us to be mainly ship crewmen, not necessarily a station as someone of such low repute would
Yes.
not be aware to distinguish what a salesman and an armsman would be.
In any case, I must attend to some personal matters. Helmsman. The helmsman looks over at me for a command. 120th ahead. And once you reach that velocity, cut all thrusters and move in on drift with maneuvering thrusters to ensure we stay within the sense or shadow of Juno's moons. Gives a nod, a curt nod of his head before bellowing out commands across the bridge for so. I will see you gentlemen in a few days after I resolve my personal affairs. As you were, and just kind of wanders off towards his where his quarters are.
Right. Well, we still have 3 more days until we reach our destination. I'll see if I can get a pilot to get us on planet. We're not gonna use the big boy ship and vehicles for this one. I hope you're ready yourselves for watching.
Nothing the guard hasn't taught me.
I bet your boots have seen quite a miles, Solomon.
Awesome.
I will use those days to inspect his troops. See how good they are. If they're up to guard standard.
God stand down.
As you retire to your rooms and relax for the next few days, you're going to eventually, or do you read the folder that he gave you?
I will.
I will as well.
It contains a bunch of surface information on Juno, as if it was just written by any other common criminal. Nothing sensitive at all. It also contains some coded language. Whoever's reading it will be able to pick up on some strange letters and references between the pages, and you can do a cryptographer test.
Cryptographer. Where is that skill? Is it like
It is a
linguistic skill?
trade. It is a trade.
I do not have that.
Anyone can do this.
You
Is
can
it just
trade with a
skill?
minus 20. An intelligence minus 20. If you don't have it, it's harder, but maybe you picked up something.
I'll use a foreshadowing for this.
Nice. So what
Which is
happens?
fine. I do an inquiry.
No, what happens visually in the scene?
So as Mordo and whoever else is wanting to look through the document sits down, probably in like a lounge, somewhere private. He places it down on the table, and as it becomes clear that it's not all as it seems to be, he holds up a hand before discussions become too heated or there's wrong information that is being assumed. He'll close his eyes as he places his fingers on the document. He has the hood up, but there is like this red shimmering glow coming from beneath his hood as his third eye open, gazing across the document. He sees closer to what the true meaning is meant to be, foreshadowing what might come to pass if the information is known. So I'll
Awesome.
then give myself a +30 to this roll,
Awesome.
which
That's
then will just
lots
be
of degrees. So you're gonna see that the last few pages has a unique sort of a thieves' cant or a unique language, as well as a reference, so that you know exactly what to look for. There are a few sentences that are written there that modify the meaning of the sentences, and you're able to discern approximately where the precinct is that Jericho will be staying at, and he says to create a scene outside of the precinct somehow, and then you will be retrieved.
So, create a scene outside the precinct.
Yes. And you will see a sign, and when you approach it, he will find you.
Does it mention what the sign is?
No.
Mordo,
When you see the sign, I will find you.
Mordo places the document down and nods himself. I know what to do when the time comes. I'll suggest that only I hold on to the information for now, me and perhaps Zach, so that not everyone knows exactly what might happen. Just in case one of us get captured, the
Yes.
information will not be so easily to glean if they cross-question us.
And
Separation of knowledge is good.
There is
Zach,
a final page, which is heavily encrypted. You spend a lot of time going back and forth. Each letter with 3 layers of complexity. It says, according to Derilli, who is under Kane's protection during the mission, until we reconvene with him, Kamisi established a heretical cult that studied the pandemonium, the Abyssian Witnesses. The interplay between chaos, this cult, and some device brought about the pandemonium warp storm. We have to uncover how deep the conspiracy goes. There are a few notes before that, a few questions. It's just scribbled down like lots of question marks around it. I can read them one by one. It seems to be some things that Jericho has noted that he wants you to ponder.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want them now, or?
I'm ready.
One of them is Chodorov has been seen. Chodorov is the prefect. Chodorov has been seen in his manse in the main capital, accompanied by strange men and a figure that looked bulky. Some theorize it is a tech priest. Others say it is a daemon or even a Xeno. It also has a note. The Cathedral of Saint Valerius is guarded by the Vigil, the local arbitrators. It is rumored to have been defiled by a pale, blood-drinking cult before the Vigil took over and began standing guard. The witness said the men looked like they were carrying Solon scepters that are otherwise carried by the high counselors of the city. High Marshal Wilhelm has led a witch hunt to look for the guilty parties. There are some a little scribbling of what looks like the outline of a city, surrounded by mountains. It says, Solasarium is a massive mining city, used by the Chodorov family to mine for precious resources. Nobles battle over influence and control of the operation. Deep rifts in the ground are left by Prometheum mining and stretch miles and miles through the wasteland. Chodorov discards unsanctioned psychers into these pits, and black ships occasionally arrive to discard heaps of psychers captured in various remote planets in the system. The psychic disturbance is felt from orbit and is absolutely massive. He is wondering whether this has some connection to the pandemonium, perhaps some kind of conduit. Finally, he has written some notes on the prefect's family. Whenever they're not staying in one of their manses in the main capital, or their luxurious terraformed moon, Jericho seems to question how they could be, the prefect's family could be involved with the Abyssian witnesses. Having witnessed his appearances, he does not have any suspicions towards or he didn't previously against the prefect. But there is a lot he does not know about Juno. The prefect has recently elected a Minister Lord Alphax Das and various senior counselors to manage the sector from the Pellucid Tower. It says, gain access, ? These notes are in the second half of the book. The first half of the book contains basic information on the planet and the cities on Juno. This is just surface information, so if you have any questions about any specific location, you can just refer to this book.
Okay. Mordo will place the book on the inside of his robes, making sure to actually tie it into the fabric so that it will be secured out of sight.
And it seems like he wants you to discuss these points that
was mentioned
along the way.
The questions.
Yeah.
Mordo will read him up for now, and then suggest that they all read or look over them as we get down to the planet and get a better view. Was that present?
Well, what did you say? I didn't hear that.
Is Zach present?
Tavi?
Yes.
Yes.
Mordo will mention the information given to you specifically, and mention that you should feel free to share it with who you think will need it, but to try and keep things disclosed, or not fully disclosed to everyone.
She thinks about it. She will agree
I'm
with...
actually gonna say that. I think would be talking in your vessel, rather than where you could suspect that there.
Mhm.
That makes sense.
To ensure none of the crewmates become too curious about these newcomers. And also the healthy dose of paranoia of working with, within the Inquisition.
Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm just assuming. There you go. I'm gonna say a few days pass. You can spend those doing anything you want, and let me know when you want to arrive.
In regards to... No, sorry.
No, I was just going to mention that Morta will actually look into those areas of the ship that seems to
Give off odd
work
vibes.
against passerby. Yeah.
Okay.
If there is any place that tells him to, or where his instincts tell him to stay away, his curiosity gets the better of him.
I happen to know what this room is, so that works.
Mm-hmm.
Do you really want to go into that room?
Yep. I will, however, try and do a psychoscience roll to see if it has a connection with the warp before I approach it. If I can sense it.
Yes, it does. You easily sense the beaming of warp energy from this room. A deep and heavy presence of the warp.
Mordo walks in and he'll ward himself against the influence of the warp before he enters to check it out.
You also pass by a Medicaid facility.
The warding will be repeated until it would succeed. If the door is unlocked, you'll enter.
The door is not unlocked. It is a pretty large padlock. An old-fashioned padlock.
Interesting. He says as he touches the padlock and lifts it up. Is it like with a very clear, like, traditional old-fashioned key as well? Or is it more of a like a one of those keys which has like
Don't ask questions. What do you do?
Okay. I will use my power blade to try and shatter the lock.
Awesome. As you draw your power blade, do a stealth test.
Oh, the things I'm good at, right?
To see how subtle you are in doing this.
Yeah, I'm not so.
Oof.
Still closer than expected.
That is closer.
Mm-hmm. Not that he cares about being all that stealthy. He is, after all, breaking the lock.
A guard will come walking towards the hallway. You can slash open the lock and well, in fact, what do you do?
As he slashes open the lock, he hears the footsteps approaching. He'll just shrug, expecting trouble to come, but still, he enters. Curiosity winning out.
What do you do when you enter?
Well, if there's nothing apparently catching him off guard as he enters the room, he'll close the door behind him.
Okay. After you stay there for a few seconds, you get used to the darkness, and you will see a room with tables and a bunch of notes scribbled on paper, thrown about. In an adjacent room, you will see massive rows of librarium shelves.
Is there dust on the tables, the chairs? Does it seem like it's recently been people here?
This room looks like it's been locked for months, perhaps years.
He starts walking and looking at the notes that are spread around, casually stepping. He stops for a moment as he approaches the table and looks back at the doorway, listening to see if the guard is approaching or choosing to
the guard,
choosing to.
the door will spring open and he will jump in with a last weapon in his hand.
Evening.
As soon as he sees you, he will hold the last weapon to your head. What are you doing here?
Inquisitorial investigation, if you will. Lower your weapon. I'm not here to cause trouble.
I heard nothing of this. You're not supposed to be here.
No, I'm not. But I'm here.
Leave.
Feel free to report. I will remind you that you are pointing your weapon at an agent of the Inquisitor.
I wasn't told.
Feel free.
I was just ordered to guard this door. That is it. Now please come with me. You see his hand shaking. He is terrified.
Feel free to report the happenings to your superiors.
Do you have any weapons on you?
I have a blade. He slides the cloak aside so that the weapon can be seen.
Lower it to the ground.
I would like to try and read this guy's mind.
Go ahead.
What exactly is it that he is so fearful of? Which will be a psychoscience. Nice.
A few seconds pass, and two more guards pour into the room. Both of them immediately raising their weapons, aiming it at you.
He'll raise his hands.
That is a success. He is visibly picturing himself being ritually killed in front of the other menials as a pretty routine punishment for failing to protect this room or failing to follow orders very strictly from the rogue trader. He is fearing for his life.
I get information up to 12 hours in the past. Is there anything in his mind that would indicate what might be in this room?
He has never been in this room. He's never been told what is in this room.
Up until now.
Yes, up until now.
Very well. If you're so adamant, I will leave and ask questions elsewhere. He'll put his hands behind his back, and then he'll walk in a circle to indicate that he is not approaching directly, and then approach the door.
Looking through the door into the librarium, you can see some very, very interesting tomes. The room has even a contraption that you might recognize. Do a Forbidden Lore Demonology test. If you don't have it, let me know.
I do not have Forbidden Lore Demonology. I have Warp and Heresy.
That also applies. Go ahead and do a... you can actually choose Warp or Heresy. And you get a -30 on this test.
Alright, I'll do Heresy. -30. Oh. Can I use an inspiration here?
You can use a fate point to get a +10.
Okay, I'll use a fate point.
Yeah. What you're seeing through the door is a contraption used to bind a host. It is deeply heretical chaos ritual. There are also some tomes that seem to be inscribed with chaos runes. They are encased in a nulling effect. Not completely functional, but covering some of the corruption. These tomes would be instantly a cause for destroying whatever is around it if the Ordo Malleus were here.
He pauses for a moment as the apparatus and the books comes into view. He's got what he came for. And he'll move to leave. Peacefully, if the soldiers will allow it.
The man is sweating, looks at his friend. Fix the padlock. Repair the padlock.
You've been very naughty.
He,
will say as he passes the...
You can feel the terror from his eyes. Like his eyes twitching as you pass him. He just slowly lowers the gun, realizing there probably isn't a point in shooting you, as you're probably more powerful than him. But you can see and sense that for a second he is considering shooting you.
Mortar will not stop, but the guard as well sees a slight snicker as he walks out the door.
Awesome. You get an inspiration point. You also gain some interesting information about your friend. As you leave, the guards will frantically try to repair the padlock. Failing to do that, they will be running to a warehouse to try to get a new one.
Okay, that looks exciting. Trill, after the session, if you have the time, would you want to have a small private scene?
You can easily do a private scene on the ship. There are lots of small compartments and rooms. By the way.
He's not here. I have to leave.
Okay. We can do that in that time then.
As you find yourselves probably, or where do you go, Marla? It's up to you.
But at this point, he will actually head straight to where Trialis and have that conversation.
Nice.
What was the name of the apparatus again? It was a soul trapping device.
Take questions in the chat. Ask questions in the chat. Or to him.
Okay.
So after meeting up with Thrill and having the conversation, this is after that, you will find yourselves in the small vessel, getting ready to arrive to the planet. What do you do?
I would like to share Jericho's questions that he has noted down in the file with everyone as for the mode in which we would contact Jericho. I'm gonna keep it secret between me and Mordo.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have to contact him ahead of time. So, Naturalites, the Lord Governor has been misbehaving as of late, hasn't he? There are many vectors on which to approach our investigation as civilians. There are rumors amongst common populaces regarding his entourage. There is the activity he has within a specific excavation site, where psychic activity can be felt from orbit. That seems a far more dangerous approach, but environmentally speaking, but one possible nonetheless. There's also this cult that has unceremoniously desecrated a place before the vigil took over. We may also wish to inquire about. There are a plethora of ways which we could approach this. So, should we look for clues from the outside, starting with the excavation site, moving in? Or should we start from the city and make them lose our trail first before we move to the exterior?
I feel like starting from the outside and working our way in is the most easier way of approaching the situation. Though I feel also that the prefect family might be something that we should be looking into. I believe they had their home on the moon.
Yes, they have one on the colonized moon as well as upon the planet. However, I feel that they are quite unreachable at this point with our current cover. Yet this person they put in charge, this minstrel lord, seems of interest. There could be rumors or a way for us to connect Chadarov and his family to this cult.
Yes, I'll adhere to your judgment on it. But perhaps if we are to keep ourselves out of sight as long as possible, we should start with the mining facility.
I concur.
Mhm. I must make sure that all of you possess the necessary equipment for this. Nothing fancy. A sword will prove fruitful, as well as a knife, something that wouldn't attract too much attention. Even an improvised weapon, should you not possess. Compact weapons are, of course, ideal. If not, we will requisition whatever is needed from the road trader. Nevertheless, I do believe that should we approach from the outside, it has the possibility of, well, the psychic phenomena within the site is what worries me. We could risk losing many people, especially since the presence of unsanctioned sighters worries me greatly. There is much evidence, but also much risk at stake.
I feel I should mention that I can secure a small number of us against any small scale corruption. Perhaps even shield us from the psychers if need be. Though if this psychic phenomena is exceedingly powerful, then perhaps it would be better to look into it before we do anything else. Because the truth is we have to look into it sooner or later.
Yes, I must say that approaching it directly could prove detrimental. We should still land within the city, gain as much information from all regarding all possible factors before deciding to approach one of them, especially this excavation site. We cannot afford to go, well, blind and hit a wall. Good. I will prepare robes for each and every one of you, civilian ones. And the clothing will be of your choice. I just need to strong arm some local crewmen to part with them. Give me the specific designs in mind, and I'm certain I can either request it from a seamstress or from the seamstress guild or from a unfortunate death owner within this ship's holds. And as we make our preparations, feel free to contradict me, anyone, but I think this is a good place to put a pin in it.
So, you're okay with arriving now, or so?
Yeah, we're okay with arriving. We will be within the city.
Okay. You're not gonna have the opportunity to requisition, do any more Inquisition stuff from this point on.
So maybe we should get some.
We should, yeah. We will. This will be the last session in which we get the requisitions.
Okay.
So starting next, we won't. We will cut communication.
Got it. So I'm gonna say this: you get to the planet, and you're gonna get close enough to where you can begin to depart and land. But we're just gonna end it as you're on your way to the ship. After a couple of days, you begin to slowly drift through various checkpoints. You begin to see a bright orb in the darkness, and whenever you look out the windows, slowly getting bigger and bigger, until finally you see the majesty of Juno in front of you. The planet is immediately brought up on screens on the ship's bridge. You will see a beautiful, pristine blue atmosphere around the meticulously terraformed Visuna Regis. Hamistagan, also called MK2, is a pleasure world terraformed by the elites on the planet and used to house their various mansions. The Visuna Regis is the main capital, housing the Regis Chancellery, the Administratum, where you have various data temples and also small sections of the Mechanicus. The planet of Juno houses about 15 billion people. As you go through your notes and pull up these various picked recordings of the planet, you will see endless, hopeless pits of mining work outside of Visuna. The only people who reside in the center of the city is whoever is useful to the manufactorum there, or the sector prefect. The sector prefect himself is said to reside in the Pellucid Tower. It's just a massive, impossibly large structure, built like a fortress to withstand war. The Basilica of Valerius is guarded by Lord Wilhelm, as well as the Ecclesiarchy. This is where the Ecclesiarchy has their main base of operations in Askellon. Solosarum is the center of the mining operations. As you see footage from the streets of Visuna Regis, you will see a surprisingly well-kept and modern city. It is quite majestic and beautiful, and in the middle you will see the fortress precinct belonging to the Vigil, the arbitrators. As you see it, you can almost picture Jericho setting up his base there, or undercover in preparation for your arrival. As you settle into orbit around Juno, that's where we can end. Everybody gets 300 XP, and you gain 1 influence.
Great voice.
Influence is good influence.
And you're looking at the camera. This is what the fun begins.
I say we probably should all go under pseudonyms, fake names. We're not calling each other via real names.
We did this at some point. We used brackets for pseudonyms.
That's when you did the best. That's the mission you did the best on. You almost didn't have to remake any characters.
Yeah.
No one had to.
That's incredible. We had almost an entire mission where you didn't have to remake characters. That was Aventine.
No one died.
That was like a miracle. But I think that's the mission where people planned or thought about things the most. We had dead drops. We had code names, dead drops,
Code phrases.
Yeah, covert operations. I think you called Jericho father and he called you son.
Yeah, that's where it first started, with father son code names. Yeah.
And that's the mission you did best on. Not that you have to do that.
Well, that sounds like a good idea to keep that code name.
I don't think
for each
that's
other.
why you did the best, but you were pretty good at being acolytes on that mission. So yeah, by the way, I forgot to mention before we started. Araleen said he wouldn't be here this session, but he's coming next week. Olu said he was busy, also coming next week.
Oh.
Aaron was not feeling good. But
He's still here.
Oh, okay.
But he still showed up that he's
Still
actually
here like a boss.
No,
Just being quiet listening.
Yeah.
Well, actually building a character, but
Oh, okay.
He knows. He knows. Yeah.
He's coming prepared.
He's got like a lineup of 3 extra characters.
But
He knows.
I guess I should be making a second character then.
Yeah. I would prefer if you wouldn't have to.
I know. I mean, I prefer I wouldn't have to.
Yeah, I mean, if things went well.
You know, dice are dice, and sometimes they fuck you.
Dice are dice. Subtlety is subtlety.
me kissing my autocannon goodbye until shit turns up.
Oh, yeah.
Probably should requisition, yeah, like probably a knife. Or at
That's
very
a
least.
bummer, Zach. Damn, dude.
It's
You-
a
you-
bummer, but
you-
I'm missing that cloak and dagger. Meanwhile, I'm seeing if I can make my shotgun compact.
You've waited 5 years to have a
It's a
good weapon. And then it's fucking illegal. Then they make it illegal.
It's the moment when it finally gets used. That's when it's fun.
Compact
Yeah.
enough, right?
What's that, Chris?
I'm saying hotshot las pistols compact enough, right?
I don't know.
I know less guns can have like less
They
carabines.
can get compact, yeah.
Yeah, you guys need to think about.
I think we should just do auto guns. The ammo is easier to get, and they're quieter. We can get silencers.
Good point.
No.
Yeah,
That's what.
I will be tracking stuff like how far the sound travels. I'm going deep on this one, guys.
Yes, I came prepared, and I already have is it a stummer?
Sick.
And I have photo contacts, which are relatively low.
Nice.
Not noticeable.
Oh, you're already prepared. Look at that.
I always keep a silence weapon on me, and oh no, the shotgun is compact. I just forgot to buy a silencer. Damn.
I mean, I'm
Well,
decent
at least I
I'm decent
keep a
deceiver.
silence backup usually.
It's so funny you can get a silence shotgun. That's so stupid.
I mean, you can silence a shotgun, yes.
Yeah, but I mean,
But
Hey,
we-
it says basic solid projectile is basic.
yeah, it just means
it's fine.
a gun from nowadays. Because I mean, technically, I think like in one of the depictions of an auto gun is literally an STG-44,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is fucking
Right, what's the XP for a new character again?
it's 9 plus like I think depending on your what is it?
24,000. 24,000.
Oh, it's dying XP, yeah, 25,000.
I remember when I had a
50 points.
character with 40k and I made the meme, hey, we're in 40k now,
I was
guys.
just saying, we also
Oh,
have we
bro.
also have no armor unless you've got like something like very subtle.
I mean, listen, best I can do is Imperial robes, which are just normal clothing and gives you 1 armor.
He didn't say anything about armor.
I mean, the civilians wearing armor is pretty obvious unless
Yeah,
we're, like,
It'll attract more attention for sure. But-
unless our cover is where voidsmen,
Yeah, but
off duty voidsmen. But
having
still, that,
bodyguards with body armor is not uncommon. Really.
He's my guy's set up a bit for stealth.
Just don't walk around in a power armor.
Yeah, stuff. No.
Now the question is, who's gonna buy the bullet and be the VIP without any armor?
Who's got the best dodge?
Yeah, that will have to be him. That's the worst
Shit.
job. That's the worst job to get.
I mean, I've paid my dodge tax and I have a +2.
Oh, fuck, I have max dodge with step aside.
Shit.
I said my max dodge is
Look
like
at this
63.
planet, though. Look at that shit.
I wanted to say the assets. At first, I was like, man, am I that tired that I see fucking monitor, flickers and stuff and all?
No,
Yeah,
man, I made this in 3D, bro. With a
Yeah,
fucking,
Nice.
it's a video.
Yeah, I was like first like, it's like, is that like static?
It is.
Is that
static.
is
It's
it
like,
vertical lines?
It's supposed to be
Yeah,
like a
like-
screen, you know, you're looking at.
Yes. I mean, it's a lot of you certainly put your effort in.
Yeah.
Listen, you can say a lot of shit, but you can never say he doesn't give 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, boy. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what you do.
Okay. I mean, that's surface
Well, at
navigation.
the moment-
You know,
Go on.
no, I was just going to say out of character that I was not expecting
How common is
Theus
Morgan?
or Triel to basically be a worshipper of.
Hey, we don't know.
Hey,
we don't know why
this
we have
is-
it. He might be able to give it a good explanation.
The way I do things basically is like people who roleplay well, I just let them do whatever. And then if you guys are like, okay, this guy's a chaos worshiper,
Worship.
we need to get rid of this fuck. I'm
Let's
okay
make
with
this
that.
guy Death Famous.
Yeah,
Ah.
I'm okay
No,
with
no,
that.
no. We don't need to get rid of him. We just need to take advantage of him.
I mean, yeah, blackmail.
Listen,
I'm okay with anything.
the thing is, like, when Jericho said to him, like, after this operation is done, whether we win or not, you will be known to have been working with the Inquisition, which closes many doors. And I'm like, sure, I will. And I'm like, that's a bit meta, because no road trader worth his salt would do that. Unless we have something over him, in which I guess the Inquisitor knows about this.
I imagine, yeah.
Yeah. I'm unsure if I should publicize this or just. Yeah.
I'm assuming
You'll
you probably
have
maybe
to-
you might have to tell Zach about it because I mean, you know, he is the team leader. Like, no, and it's kind of important for him to know that possibly Trail is a chaos worshipper.
Who knows? Who knows? Maybe you'll use it for your own gains. Maybe that you'll have. Maybe you should inform the person that you know about this, or maybe not. Ooh, the conspiracies, the ploys.
No. I'm heading directly to him, and I'm saying, yeah, you're my bitch right now, unless you want the carrying position to know you worship corn. I mean, come on,
Corn
a bone throne, and and a sacred octet. I believe that is. I'm pretty sure that is corn. Out of character. Oh, out of character, of course.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I'm right. I mean, yeah. Actually, in character, I don't know that he worships him, but that's what I'm going to confront him with.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, he has heretical shit on his ship.
He has a ton of heretical chaos shit. Whether he believes it or not is a different thing.
It's a
Yeah.
curious collection he has.
It is just a hobby. I swear to God.
Yeah, it's just.
I mean, it could be, you know, he could have it, you know, for the Inquisitor. Like, it's like you.
And
Sure.
you
That's
should
why-
investigate
It's-
further to make sure it's not a
it's
trap
not-
for
not-
you.
It's not uncommon for Inquisitors to have daemon hosts.
I mean, he is a rogue trader. Technically, he is allowed to possess such things.
Well, yeah.
But being, if he actually worships a chaos god, that is a line drawn.
Yeah.
So, out of character, I'm not gonna discuss it anymore or further than that because I want to see what he says in character, and then we can like see what potentially interesting things come of it. But for now, you can assume that Mordo has not told anyone because he wants to benefit from this.
Obviously.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's what Inquisitors do. You know, you find shit on people and blackmail them with it.
Yep.
I'm gonna have to make a fucking mind map of this and start writing down a fuck ton of notes.
Yes, finally! I made time to make a mind map. Fuck yeah.
Or as I like to call it, the crackhead palace.
Love it.
Just gonna have a board
So-
of post-it notes, string attached to them.
Martin,
Yeah.
Yeah, what's up?
tomorrow after I'm done at work, I'll try and message him and see if he's willing to sit down for a short scene. I assume you want to set in on it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. I'll
Awesome.
I'll just ping the the Acolyte roll for anyone else that might want to be a part of it.
It's gonna have to be after the kids go to bed at 9.
We can say game time tomorrow.
Yeah.
If
9 is
anyone
game
here wanna
time.
be-
That's good time.
Okay. Then those interested, I'll see you at game time tomorrow.
Awesome.
Now I gotta go bed.
Yeah. Going to host an intervention.
See
An
you.
intervention.
Murdo.
Yeah, I'll see you. Bye.
See you.
Yeah, so Laura just learned a very dirty secret.
Dirty boys. Wow.
I mean, is it car related?
It is corn.
Oh.
No, do not listen to Morton.
Well, yeah, he said made out of bone. It's made out of bone. That makes sense.
Listen, do not listen to anything he says out of game.
Yeah.
He just fucks with your mind. Listen, the moment the game ends, do not listen to him. He's not a reliable narrator anymore.
He's not a reliable narrator. That's the biggest, truthful, but also slightly insulting thing you've said.
Listen, he's a sick bastard. This is how he played. There was a die. I just ran my theories past him, and I don't expect them to be right, but I still feel validated when they're right. But I never listen to his feedback. Like, oh, maybe you should investigate this and that. And guess what?
You
Somebody
think I'm gonna
listen to him.
help you? Bro!
Exactly. Never listen. If he says it's torn, it's
you
a fucking
paying
saint
attention?
instead,
Have
baby.
you had your eyes open at all in the last 4 years? Bruh,
I mean, no,
I ain't here.
Oh, you're back.
Oh, who's back?
Ether.
Oh,
Trail.
shit. Ether says I'm gonna listen to this while I'm working. Oh no.
Trail.
He's gonna know.
No, but I'm saying, listen, for your Chris, for your sanity, there was a poor guy that he thought he could slightly metagame. Oh no, never listen to him, never.
So I'll take what
Just-
everybody
I'm
says
so
with a
curious
pinch of
what
salt.
what you're talking about now, Zach. Tell me.
Oh fuck, who was it? It was on Eventing. Fuck, who was it? Or was it Serich Madness with the somebody like Morten said it was a was it the bunker scene? Anyway, I forget the details exactly. It's all mushed together at this point. I'm just an insane person. Listen, I've been in 5 years of this bullshit. Trust me, bro. It's all connected.
I'm
But
thinking of
listen,
But it somehow just works. You know?
it just works.
It just works.
Listen, he
As
tried
said-
to
as
follow
told-
a lead that was very iffy, and Morten said, "Yeah, you should totally do that. You should totally." And he would also make this like shit in game. Like he attracts attention to an NPC, or my favorite on Serif's Madness, where we didn't pay attention for 1 second. I showed up drunk for 1 session, and we were supposed to meet with some.
Sure.
Oh, listen, I was quite hammered that day, okay? I did pass up on a date to show up to game because I'm that based.
Love it.
But there was this servant which showed up and said, "Oh, well, you requested to meet with Lord Fuckface." And we never heard that name, but it sounded eerily familiar. And as he said that we're going deeper within the building and the architecture changes, and I was looking like, who is this name? Has he been mentioned before? And as he describes certain servitors in front of us, I realized, oh no, this name never got mentioned in my notes. This is a fucking trap, isn't it? Never let your guard down. Never listen to him, but listen very intently and feed your stuff out.
You're helping the other players speed run my campaign. I see how it is, Tab.
The gloves
Listen.
are
And I felt like shit because it was an obvious trap, and nobody was like, hold up, wait a minute, something
fuck is
ain't
that?
right.
So, in other words, if we don't recognize the name, don't accept.
Yeah.
If you feel something is wrong, it generally is.
The vibe is off.
Listen, everyone said at one point when I was playing that character, and they were wanting to investigate like some no-named NPC, and I was like, "Oh, this is the standard dart trap when you'll be caught sniveling about, thinking you get evidence, but it's nothing, and a dart will show up because Morten knows you are shit at stealth, and he will give you that sudden stealth roll." And I was like, "Oh, the standard dart trap," and I was like, "No, don't do it, don't do it. It's not worth it. We've never met this person, and he's unrelated to that case," because he was. And he was like, "Why are you so paranoid?" Bro, I work in the Inquisition. Why are you not paranoid?
Fair. Yeah.
But
And so it is a common thing for, Inquisitors to be absolute paranoid pieces of shit.
that's for a good reason.
I mean,
But I will correct. I do not target people who have low subtlety. I do not do that. I give out punishment randomly and sadistically. But I do not target.
To be fair, that there was a chance where there was a person that did that and got away scot-free because he was an infiltrator. And he learned his lesson. Until he did it, and he did it again.
Oh my god, yeah.
And then he had to literally, our sniper / pilot was in a wheelchair because of it.
no.
Because we didn't have any cybernetics left.
I was about to say, don't you have any cybernetics to fix that?
No, we didn't. We ran out of it. That's how bad it was, my guy.
Dirt
We
pot.
had to face a full Eldari assault on a gene vault. I'll let you guess how many cybernetics we got left after that. A guy literally got cut in half.
By what?
Yes. It was an Eldari energy sword which detonated his entire grenade bandolier.
Oof. I mean, did he take the Eldari with him?
No, that's the sad part.
Damn. Cool.
I feel like there's something.
At least I'm a good shot. At least I'm a good shot. I know that.
You guys should start carrying like some extra arms and legs wherever you go.
Just augmentic legs and arms, ready for when they go missing.
Strapped to your back, just a bunch of arms.
We're
like
about to
like C-3PO on Chewbacca.
yeah, exactly. I need
Honestly,
to find that picture.
it's very fitting that we are from a Void crew as our alias, because we aren't allowed to carry such high tech with us if we're civilians. So by the end of it, if we fuck up, we will have ped legs and hooks for hands. With fucking eye patches going yar.
How good are you fist fighting?
You hook fight.
Actually, well, I haven't really looked into unarmed combat for what is it? The Dark Heresy.
Lambawa, yes, deadass. That was our pilot, my guy.
The Acolyte backpack. Here we go. Just the bare necessities of what I need on my mission.
Have 3 left legs.
Yeah.
It seems like we could do a tech priest.
No, you just brought left legs, so now you got 2 left legs. Fuck. But why don't you do this? This would have saved you so much trouble. Seriously. Consider it.
I mean, as long as I've got one arm, I can still shoot.
What if it's your off arm?
I've got 50. It's 59, no 60 ballistic skill.
That works.
I could take that. I can take that.
Listen, all I'm saying is that shit ain't right, man. That shit hurts my fucking soul.